Imagine, like, swinging a heavy weight at the end of a long rope, right? That's your classic front-engine muscle car.
Out the box, you're clean, fresh screen, little scratch. I set you on the desk and wait.
Now imagine holding that same weight right against your chest. Suddenly you can, turn on a dime.
Right, exactly. And that's exactly what Corvette did by moving the engine behind the driver. It upends decades of tradition.
It really does. So welcome to today's deep dive. We're riding shotgun on the unrestricted Autobahn via an Auto Top NL POV review, and you are definitely going to want to buckle up.
Oh, for sure. We're looking closely at the Corvette Z06 C8 today.
Yeah, and our mission is basically to uncover how this traditional American icon reinvented itself, right, into a mid-engine exotic that's suddenly making European royalty sweat.
To understand how they actually pulled this off, you have to look right behind the driver's seat. I mean, Chevrolet completely threw out their old playbook for this one.
Yeah, I noticed they totally ditched their usual engine design. They're calling it an LT6 with a flat plane crank.
Right, the LT6.
I know that gives it a crazy 8,600 RPM redline, but like, what does that actually mean under the hood?
So think about a traditional V8 that has a cross-plane crank where the pistons connect at 90-degree angles.
Okay.
And that requires massive heavy counterweights to keep the engine balanced. But a flat plane crank is, well, it's literally flat.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, so without those heavy counterweights, there is significantly less rotating mass.
Which makes it faster.
Exactly. That allows the engine to spin up to that 8,600 RPM redline almost instantly. Combine that with dual overhead cams so the engine can breathe faster,
Yeah.
and you just completely alter the car's DNA.
And it completely alters the sound, too. I mean, it doesn't have that low, burbling rumble of an old muscle car at all.
Not at all. It's a totally different beast.
Right. Watching the reviewer floor it, it literally shrieks. It seriously feels like a Ferrari 458 and a Porsche GT3 got together and just had this wildly aggressive American baby.
That is a perfect way to describe it. It really is a bespoke masterpiece. I mean, this isn't some modified truck engine. It's a ground-up design. And here's a detail that connects this mechanical beast right back to the owner. If you buy one, you can actually travel to the Bowling Green plant in Kentucky and literally hand-build your specific engine yourself.
Wait, seriously? You build it yourself?
Yeah, under expert supervision, of course. But your name even goes right on the engine plaque.
That is wild. Just you, some engineers, and your very own handcrafted heart of the beast. But, I mean, all that high revving power is useless if it just spins the tires into smoke.
Oh, absolutely.
So how do they actually get 670 horsepower to stick to the Autobahn?
Well, that goes back to your analogy earlier about holding the weight against your chest.
Right, the mid-engine layout.
Exactly. Moving to a mid-engine layout shifts the heaviest part of the car directly over the massive 345 width rear tires.
345, those are huge.
Huge. And that weight physically pins the tires to the pavement, maximizing traction during acceleration.
And it absolutely flies. On the Autobahn, the reviewer hits 312 kilometers per hour, though. He does hit this weird, kind of frustrating rev limiter in fifth gear that bogs the car down briefly.
Yeah, that fifth gear cutoff is a bit jarring to watch.
But still, it clears 100 to 200 kilometers per hour in just 7 blistering seconds.
It's incredibly fast.
Which is great.
But wait, if this is supposedly a track weapon, why did the reviewer say the standard brakes couldn't handle a hard stop from 300 kilometers per hour? Like, did Chevy cut corners to keep the price down?
Oh.
And also, what's with that weirdly shaped square steering wheel?
So the brakes are a valid concern, especially at those extremes. I mean, stopping a 1,700-kilo car from 300 kilometers per hour generates immense friction and heat.
Right, that makes sense.
Standard steel brakes simply cannot dissipate that heat fast enough without fading. So if you want true track perfection and zero fade, you absolutely must option the carbon ceramic brakes and the carbon fiber wheels.
Got it. So it's an option you have to check.
Right. But the car's true triumph isn't just going fast in a straight line. It's really the dual personality.
How so? Like, what do you mean by dual personality?
Well, if you look at a Porsche GT3, it's a brilliant machine, but it's constant sensory overload.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
It's loud, it's stiff and crashy all the time. But the Z06 has a tour mode.
Okay.
When you twist that dial, the exhaust valves close and the magnetic suspension kicks in.
Which does what exactly?
It changes the viscosity of the fluid inside the shock absorbers in literally milliseconds, so it softens the ride instantly. It basically transforms from a track monster into a relaxed, comfortable cruiser.
Wow. I mean, if you're looking at the supercar market today, this completely breaks the math.
It really does.
You are getting hyper-exotic European-level performance for roughly $110,000 to $120,000 in the U.S.
Though we should probably note, thanks to extreme vehicle taxes, it's a staggering 360,000 euros in the Netherlands.
Ouch. Yeah, that hurts.
It does.
But, I mean, for most, the value is incredible, and the interior prioritizes the driver brilliantly, too. It features a long wall of physical climate control buttons instead of, burying everything in an annoying touchscreen.
Yes, physical buttons are such a relief. Ultimately, the C8 Z06 is an absolute weapon. It successfully bridges the gap, offering a hardcore edge of a track supercar with the compliance of an everyday driver.
Well said. And I'll leave you with this to ponder. If American engineering can successfully mimic and frankly challenge elite European track legends for a fraction of the cost, how will those traditional heritage supercar brands justify their massive price tags in the future?